Days later, Peter sits with Gwen, Harry, and Flash at the Silver Spoon until all the guys' heads suddenly begin to turn as Mary Jane makes a stunning entrance. Approaching Peter's table, she is amused to see one girl sitting alone with all the guys and humorously asks where this place has been all her life. Then, when Peter gets up to introduce Mary Jane to the gang, the guys nearby are in disbelief that Peter knows such an attractive girl. While Flash swoons over MJ, Gwen is not so impressed, and she jealously scowls as Mary Jane grabs Peter to go out with her to see a local guitarist in town. After Peter tells Gwen that his science review will have to wait, MJ remarks not to worry about the lesson, as going out with her can be a whole education unto itself. Then, after she discusses catching a bus and repainting Peter's new cycle to a more fabulous color, Peter asks MJ if she ever slows down to take a breath, but she questions why, as there is too much action in the world, and she doesn't want to miss any bit of it. As the two exit, Gwen folds her arms in disapproval, remarking that she doesn't know what has gotten into a scholarship student like Peter, as he can't afford to let his studies slide. After their day out, Mary Jane calls Peter, inviting him to come see her dance performance at a local club the following evening. Unfortunately, Peter can't go due to an injured arm from being Spider-Man that would give away his secret. But after MJ says it's his loss hanging up, Peter is upset thinking she is probably writing him off now. The next day, Mary Jane is about to go to the club when her Aunt Anna asks her to first go to Peter's house with soup. MJ remarks that though he's a bit uptight, she finds Peter attractive and she bets he could be real fun if he let himself go. She then goes with her aunt to see Peter, and when they arrive, Peter is not home, so MJ leaves for her night out. Meanwhile, Peter walks home in poor spirits over Spider-Man constantly interrupting his life and causing him so many problems. Mary Jane sees him while driving by with Harry and invites Peter to join them, but he declines since he doesn't have much further to go. As they depart, Peter begins to think that he was foolish for worrying when he has to break dates with Mary Jane, as she seems happy finding any guy to take her out for fun. However, after putting the blame on her and calling her pretty but shallow, he begins to second-guess himself thinking maybe this is his fault, and he's just taking out his frustrations on her. Soon, Aunt May decides she wants to move in with Aunt Anna since MJ has moved out, so Peter takes MJ to the Silver Spoon in celebration, as she happily declares that celebrations are her favorite. There, they see Gwen as she is dancing to the jukebox, and they speak with Harry to plan Flash's farewell party to the draft. When MJ tells Peter that she wants to join in on the dancing, Peter takes the opportunity to leave to take down the shocker. Later, MJ visits to help May unpack at Aunt Anna's place, but ends up getting into dancing to her music as Aunt May calls Peter. During the call, MJ tells May to remind Peter they're going out that night. That evening, Peter picks up MJ as his date while Harry takes Gwen, and when they arrive, MJ compliments Gwen on her decorations she set up for Flash's farewell party. Then, MJ takes Peter to the dance floor, and they dance together as everyone looks on. Upset that MJ is taking the spotlight with Peter instead of helping pass out the food, Gwen gets on the dance floor herself, creating a rivalry with MJ for attention. However, when Craven crashes the party to go after Harry, Peter must duck out to become Spider-Man and battle the villain. As Gwen and Flash carry a shaken Harry indoors, MJ is enthralled watching the battle and tries to get everyone's attention to see the spectacle. Then, after the battle, Peter returns making up an excuse for his absence, claiming that he couldn't find a camera to take pictures, and MJ tells him that the battle was really exciting, and then stands by as Peter gives Flash his best wishes. In the coming days, Peter gets ill from being out in the cold as Spider-Man, but he must go out again to fight the Vulture anyway. Soon after, Mary Jane arrives with May and Anna to give Peter company and bring him goodies, but Harry answers the door and informs them that Peter is not home. Hearing this, MJ suggests that Harry give them all a ride back to Aunt May's in hopes that they can find Peter later. Soon, MJ visits again with Gwen to cheer Peter up while he is still sick, but Harry informs them that Peter is napping. When Mary Jane tries to play music to wake Peter, Harry insists to let him rest, so she again leaves without seeing him. Meanwhile, Peter lies in bed, wishing he could have seen the girls, and sulking over his dual identity getting in the way of his personal life once again. As time passes, Spider-Man has gotten in Peter's way of seeing Mary Jane, and he realizes that he's never had much time to figure out who she is as a person, and if she's truly as scatterbrained as she presents herself to be. Further, given his previous doubts that a carefree Mary Jane is serious about their relationship, and after receiving an invitation from Gwen to join her for a get-together, Peter begins to consider pursuing Gwen again. However, Peter briefly sees MJ when visiting May, who jokingly pretends she's old news when Peter doesn't notice her at first, and after playfully claiming that he would have arrived sooner had he known she was there, she invites Peter to go see her rehearsal. But since Peter was there for a visit with Aunt May, he apologetically declines MJ's invitation. Later, Mary Jane becomes aware of Gwen's feelings for Peter, and she confronts Gwen about it in front of Harry. When Harry tries to brush it off as a joke, MJ slyly asks Gwen if she thinks she's being funny, but Gwen avoids answering the question. Shortly after, Flash returns from the army and tells MJ he's heard that she ditched Peter, to which she questions, "Ditch him? I haven't seen him for ages." It's at this time Peter starts his relationship with Gwen Stacy, and he goes on his first date with her. After their date, Peter and Gwen meet the gang at the Coffee Bean, and upon seeing them, Mary Jane remarks that she only loaned Peter to Gwen, and hearing this, Peter wonders if she is jealous. Then, after a brief visit from May and Anna, Peter walks them home, and after Flash remarks that Peter is one guy too many, suggesting he is somehow beneath them, MJ counters that one tiger is as good as any other, indicating that Peter is not inferior as Flash suggests. Soon, Peter finds Gwen and MJ hanging out together, and when he announces that he came to rescue them from boredom, MJ jokingly asks if that means that he's getting rid of Gwen. Then, as Gwen and MJ start their play rivalry and make jabs at each other, the guys nearby look on, dumbfounded that Peter has two beautiful girls fighting over him. Soon, after Doc Ock makes a visit to Peter's home, leaving a giant hole in the wall, Mary Jane shows up loudly announcing to have no fear. MJ's here, to a not-so-enthused Peter. When Anna tells them to remain quiet as Aunt May needs rest, MJ replies that they'll be as quiet as mini mice, and she just wants Peter to show her the groovy broken wall. Seeing the giant hole, Mary Jane is astonished, proclaiming she's heard of air conditioning, but this is ridiculous. However, Peter isn't as amused, as he's not sure insurance will cover the repairs. Just then, Gwen shows up, claiming that if she's breaking up anything between the two of them, then it's her lucky day. In response, Mary Jane jokingly claims that someone must have just stuck a pin in their little MJ doll. Then, after Gwen says she heard what happened and asks if there is anything she can do, MJ jokes that she could start by saying goodbye. After Peter asks Mary Jane if she's ever serious, Gwen knowingly responds that she is, and far more often than she'd like him to suspect.